Well, hello and welcome. This is a Market Wrap. I'm Agam Vakil. We've seen a reversal of sorts from yesterday, considering the weakness that we did see over the last 3 days. And today is an advance coming through as far as the benchmark indices go, with the Nifty advancing by around 73 points, up 0.6 of a percentage point, aided by heavyweights such as Larsen & Toubro, BPCL, Mahindra & Mahindra, State Bank of India and Titan, of course Indian Oil Corp and Yes Bank advancing. On the losing end, we have more weakness in Z Entertainment. Well, UPL and Cipla, along with Power Grid, among others, which are losing out in trade. And as far as the broader markets go, the advance decline ratio is certainly positive. We have two gainers for one decline on the NSE 500. AU Small Finance advancing 10%. Westlife Development showing a surge after very strong earnings coming through. We have Johnson Controls, Tata Investment, Rail, Vikas Nigam all advancing in trade. On the losing end, ITI under a tad bit of pressure. PNB Housing Finance, something that we are going to address today. Cochin Shipyard, Kenna Metal, along with Edelweiss Financial Services. Edelweiss is one of those mid-caps which simply has not participated in the kind of gains that we have seen in the broader markets, currently trading below the mark of 100. But let's get in our markets editor, Neeraj Shah, for his thoughts on how things have panned out today. Neeraj, what are your thoughts?
Just what we said yesterday, Agam, that we are trading near those key support on the RSI front for the Bank Nifty. Yeah. And despite Axis and L&T not quite living up to the billing, I think the markets took heart from the fact that it was not too adverse. And maybe that aided with the oversold nature, just helping the markets in the session today. Whether this is a trend remains to be seen. The numbers today haven't been all that bad, except for maybe a PVR and a PNB Housing Finance. So the numbers delivery today looked okay. Westlife numbers and a few others give some hope that the earnings season is not entirely all that bad. Maybe that helps, and if indeed the world markets don't get spoiled too much because of the coronavirus scare, which Asia, by the way, got impacted today, then could be an interesting day. Just keep in mind, I think, unless we are very wrong, it's the record F&O turnover and very high cash market turnover smacks of a lot of HNI activity and a lot of trading activity today. It'll be very interesting to see. Maybe it won't show in the FI and the DI numbers, but PMS and HNI activity today was evident in the way the screen was showing. So maybe that continues, and that should keep the broader markets excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wait and watch. Thanks, Neeraj, for that. But let's move on and talk about PNB Housing Finance, which is also under a tad bit of pressure. I'm going to get in Shefali Malik to talk to us about that. Shefali, what updates?
Well, PNB Housing just reported its numbers just a while back, and on the first cut basis, the numbers did not look that great. The NIIs actually went up just by 21%, and that's quite a strong number. But the main concern was the bottom line, which actually dipped by 22%. AUMs went up by 8% on a YY basis. However, there was a decline of 3-4% on a sequential basis. Loan assets also saw muted growth on a 2% at 2% rate on a YY basis. And the main highlight of the results was that its gross NPA ratio went up to 1.75% versus 0.85%. So almost doubling on a sequential basis. And the impairment of financial instruments and write-offs were also almost 2.5 times on a YY basis to 180 crores. So on the first cut basis, the numbers do not look good at all for PNB Housing.
All right, thanks, Shefali, for getting us those numbers on PNB Housing Finance. And moving on to Sharad Dubey to very quickly talk to us about the two other stocks which were buzzing today. Sharad?
Well, the first stock is Westlife Development. The stock was one of the top gainers in the Nifty 500 index, and the stock was up almost 9%. Came out with its good sort of quarterly numbers. And if you go through the numbers, the revenues rose by almost 17%, but the headline figure which we will be watching out for is the same stores sales growth that stood at almost 9.2%. That was the highest growth we have seen in the past 4 quarters itself. Now, even the EBITDA margins, rose by almost 800 basis points on a calculated level to almost 16.4%. And if we just adjust the EBITDA for the index impact, even then there was a margin expansion of almost 300 basis points to 12%. Management spoke to BloombergQuint today, and they did say that the food inflation has been a challenge, seeing in the year, and they have a Vision 22 where they have maintained the guidance, coming between 7 to 9% for the same store sales growth. And this will actually, will actually help, getting the operational numbers going in forward for the company. And the next stock is Dishman Carbogen Amsys. The stock was up almost 5% today after it came out with a good set of strong top line numbers. The revenue is going up by almost 13% to 542 crores, which is led by that increase, revenue seen in the CRAM segment, which rose by almost 20%. So these two stocks were actually buzzing in the space today. Back to you, Agam.
All right, thanks, Jawad, for getting us those updates. So we continue to keep an eye on earnings. But on that note, it's a wrap on the markets, but there's lots more lined up. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint, and we'll keep bringing you more.
Rabindranath Tagore University, formerly known as ISECT University, the pioneers